As you sit in the garden with Jeon watching him enjoying the brownies you had baked especially for him, you felt a sense of contentment wash over you. The warm sunshine and gentle breeze only added to the peaceful atmosphere. But you couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. You glanced around, noticing the guards stationed at various points around the mansion, their eyes scanning the surroundings with a mixture of vigilance and boredom. You felt a slight discomfort knowing that your every move was being monitored, but you pushed the thought aside and focused on Jeon's happy chatter. Just then, you spotted Yoongi's car there. It meant Yoongi is already here, and your heart skipped a beat. You excused yourself, leaving John in Anabe's care, and made your way to the entrance, hoping to catch a word with Yoongi. However, as you approached the door, you saw him engaged in a meeting with some people, their faces serious and intense. Not wanting to interrupt, you turned back, decided to wait for a better moment to talk to him. But as you walked away, you heard a faint crying sound coming from outside the mansion. Without hesitation, you rushed towards the garden, your heart racing with concern, and found Jeon in tears, Anabe trying to comfort him. You quickly kneeled down beside him, trying to calm him down. You asked from Anabe, "You are saying he just fell?" "Yes, he suddenly ran behind you but tripped and fell. I was about to catch him, but..." Yoongi's sudden appearance cuts her off. He rushed toward Jeon, worry written all over his face, and scoops him up in his arm. But when he sees you standing there, his expression darkens, and he glares at you accusingly. "What did you do?" he groans, his voice low and menacing. You are taken aback by sudden outburst. "I didn't do anything. Anabe said he fell." Yoongi's gaze doesn't waver. "I don't believe you. You are always so careless and so reckless. You probably pushed him or something." But you feel a sting from his words, but you try to remain calm. "Yoongi, that's not fair. I would never hurt Jeon. Anabe can vouch for me." But Yoongi is beyond reason. He turned his back on you and stalks off, Jeon still in his arm, leaving you standing there feeling shocked and hurt. "I'm so sorry. Yoongi is just worried about Jeon." You're not trying to understand, but the warmth from Yoongi's words still stings. You can't help but wonder if he will ever trust you again. Just then you hear a faint cry from inside the mansion. "Jeon." You rush towards the sound and a big close behind you. As you enter the mansion, you see Yoongi pacing back and forth in the living room, Jeon still in his arm. Jeon's face is red and tear-stained, and he is wailing loudly. "Yoongi, what's wrong?" Yoongi's eyes flash with anger, but then he seems to hesitate. "Jeon, he's just scared. He needs time to calm down." You notice Jeon's white shirt arm is a little red. You immediately realize he's hurt. "Yoongi, look!" you exclaim, pointing to Jeon's arm. "He's bleeding." Yoongi's eyes widen in alarm as he sees the red stain on Jeon's shirt. "What happened?" he demands, his voice tight with worry. You quickly take Jeon from Yoongi and pull up his sleeve, revealing a small cut that's bleeding profusely. "Oh no, Jeon, you're hurt!" You quit trying to comfort him. "Call the doctor!" Yoongi shouts as his face pale with worry. But you swiftly grab the first aid kit and begin to clean and dress the wound. "I have got this, Yoongi. I had first aid training." Yoongi looks on, his eyes filled with a mix of concern and suspicion. "I don't trust you. You're just trying to hurt him." You sigh and continue to tend to Jeon's wound. "Yoongi, I know you don't trust me, but I'm not heartless enough to harm a child. Let me help Jeon." Yoongi's expression softens slightly and he nods curtly. "Fine, but if you're trying anything funny, I will." "I know, Yoongi, you will kill me." You finish for him, your voice dry. "I get it. You don't trust me, but please just let's focus on helping Jeon." Jeon meanwhile looks up at you with wide eyes, his face still etched with pain. Mama, he whispered, his eyes trembling. You smiled softly and stroked his hair. I'm here, baby. I have got you. You're safe now. As you finish dressing Jeon's wound, you notice a small birthmark on his shoulder. It's a distinctive shape like a crescent moon. You freeze, your mind racing with questions. Where have you seen this birthmark before? Yoongi doesn't seem to notice your reaction and casually takes Jeon from you. I will go put him to bed, he says, walking away towards the room. But you're still stuck in place, your eyes fixed on the birthmark. You can't believe what you're seeing. It's a mark that looks really familiar, but you can't quite place it. As Yoongi disappeared into the room with Jeon, you are left standing there feeling stunned and confused. But then you remember a small detail. A detail that makes your heart skip a beat. You went in kitchen and spot Anna there with more maids. The first thing asked is, who is Jeon and how did he come here? Anna's expression changed and she looks nervous. She signaled the maids to leave and once they are alone in the kitchen, she hesitated before speaking. I already told you he's the king's son and his mother is no more. Anna says, her voice firm but unconvincing. Don't lie, please tell me the truth. Anna sighed and relent. Fine. 2 years ago, when Yoongi took over as Mafia King from his father, he decided to expand his companies into different areas. One of those areas had an orphanage, which was relocated. During this process, Yoongi found a 2-year-old boy, and for some reason he was drawn to him. He adopted the boy, split Mr. Min objection. Yoongi even changed the boy's documents and made him his son. Eventually, Mr. Min agreed to go along with it. Yoongi has been raising him as his own. He warned us not to tell anyone about this. Whenever someone asks, we are supposed to say that Jeon is his son and his mother is no more. Everything is making sense now, you say, your mind racing with connections. The same birthmark on Young and Jeon, the orphanage shifting and no record of Young in any orphanage. It's all fits. Yoongi was walking towards the kitchen to call Anabi, but he stopped in his track when he heard Wine's voice. My son who I lost. Wine was saying, her voice was filled with emotion. Yoongi's front deepened as he wondered that what Wine was talking about. Did she have a son? He didn't know that. He turned to leave, not wanting to intrude on Wine's personal moment, but his curiosity was piqued. As he walked away, he didn't hear Wine's next words. Jeon is my son, Young. But he did hear Anabi's voice trying to comfort Wine. Yoongi's mind was racing with question, who was Wine's son? And what she mean by my son who I lost? The relief that your son is safe and sound in front of you is overwhelming. You go to Jeon's room and find him sleeping peacefully. You sit down beside him, hold his hands, and burst into tears. You kiss his face all over, tears streaming down your cheeks. As you cry, you fall asleep in that position, holding Jeon's hands and kissing his face. The exhaustion and emotional turmoil of the day finally catch up with you. The next morning, Yoongi enters the room and sees you sleeping with Jeon. He doesn't say a word but gazes at the two of you for a long time. He looks at you with a mix of emotions, surprise, understanding. After a few moments, he turns and leaves the room, closing the door behind him. You sleep on, unaware of Yoongi's quiet departure. When you wake up, you feel a sense of peace and gratitude. You look at Jeon still sleeping peacefully and smile. You know that you will do anything to protect him and keep him safe. As you gently release Yoongi's hand and get up from the bed, you can't help but wonder what the day ahead will bring. Will Yoongi confront you about your feelings for Jeon? Will you finally get the answer you have been searching for? Only time will tell. You become scared thinking about how Yoongi will react if he found out that Jeon is your son. Will he believe you? You never told him that you had a son. What if he is angry or feels scared? Your mind races with worst case scenarios. What if Yoongi takes Jeon away from you? You can't bear the thought of being separated from your child again. You decided to keep the secret from Yoongi from now on. You can't bear the thought of him taking Jeon away from you or being angry with you. You want to protect your child and maintain peace in the household. From now on, you become more cautious and secretive around Yoongi. You make sure to keep Jeon's true identity hidden and avoid any conversation that might raise suspicious. The next day, you're all having breakfast together and Mr. Min is also present. He says Mr. Kang is hosting a party and you are invited as his VIP guest, Yoongi. I know, it's at night. Take your family with you. Yoongi looks at Jeon and says, Okay, Anabi, make Jeon ready. Mr. Min then asks, And what about wine? Yoongi's expression turned cold and he says, Fine, get ready. You nod lightly, sensing the tension in his voice. At night, Yoongi and Jeon are sitting in the living room, fully ready and chatting. Yoongi looks up and sees you walking down the stairs, and his eyes widen in surprise. You're wearing a stunning bloody red silk dress that accentuate your curves and make you look like $1,000,000. Yoongi's jaw drops and he is frozen in place, lost for words. Jeon notices Yoongi's reaction and turns to look at you too, and he gasps. Wow, Mama, you look like a princess. Yoongi comes in hands and avoids the eye contact from you. He silently leaves from there and you follow him with Jeon. At the party, Jeon runs to Jungkook. Jeon is drawn to Jungkook's warm and friendly demeanor, and the two share a special bond. Meanwhile, Yoongi met with the guests. His dark aura took the attention of everyone around him. They all stood and bowed to him. After all, the king is here. You sit beside him, feeling a sense of unease as he gazes at you intensely while sipping his wine. His eyes seem to bore into your soul, and you can't help but feel goosebumps as his gaze lingers on you. As the night wears on, Yoongi's gaze never wavers. His eyes locked on you with an unnerving intensity. You try to brush it off as mere curiosity, but the sensation of being under his scrutiny makes you scream in your seat. What he is thinking, why he is staring at you so intently. You frown as Yoongi continues to drink excessively, and Jungkook notices your concern from across the room. He excuses himself and approaches Yoongi, whispering something in his ear. Yoongi doesn't respond but stands up, his eyes fixed on you. The ride home is tense, with Jungkook sitting beside the driver and the three of you in the backseat. When you arrive, Anabi takes a sleeping Jeon to his room, and you head towards your own room. As you enter your room and approach the bed, you hear the sound of the door locking behind you. You turn to see Yoongi standing in front of the door, his eyes gleaming in the dim light. His deep, dark voice sends shivers down your spine as he speaks. As you hear Yoongi's deep voice, you feel a shiver run down your spine as he starts walking towards you. You take a step back, but he keeps coming closer. He came so close to you and put his face between your neck, inhaling your scent, which gives goosebumps. You immediately make fist of your hand on his shirt. Just as he is about to reach you more, his eyes roll back and he fell forward, fainting into your arms. You catch him, holding him upright as he goes limp. You quickly make him lay onto the bed, trying to make him comfortable as he lies there, unconscious. You can't help but laugh a little at the sight of the powerful Yoongi taken down by too much alcohol. As you look at Yoongi's unconscious form, you notice that he is holding your hand in his sleep. You feel a surge of surprise and curiosity. What is he doing? You lean in closer to him, trying to see if he is saying anything in his sleep. As you get near, you hear him mumble something that makes your heart race. Quiet. Next day, Yoongi opened his eyes and found himself on the bed. He looked around and realized he is in his room which you used because from when you came, he slept in another room. He sat up but his head was spinning. He groaned in pain. Then the door got opened. He looked forward and spotted you there. You slowly came towards the bed, not making eye contact, and said, "You awake? Jungkook is here. He said you two have to go somewhere important, but you were not waking up." When you didn't get any response, you looked up and saw him staring at you deeply. Without realizing, you also lost in his eyes, but you two came to your sense when Jeon ran inside the room while giggling and Jungkook was chasing him. Jeon jumped on the bed and hid in the blanket, but Jungkook stopped in the doorway and turned around in embarrassment. "I'm sorry." "It's okay, Jungkook, you can come inside." Jungkook turned and bowed. He came to Yoongi. "Come, Jeon, I will help you to get ready. Come, come." The whole day passed. You spent time with Jeon. It was weird. The Jeon whom you know as Young and was 2 years. Now he is called as Jeon and 5 years old. But one thing is weird also. Young born in 2020 and he must be 4 years. Then why Jeon is 5 years old? Anabi said Yoongi changed the documents. Maybe he changed his age too. At night, you were laying on the bed with Jeon, cradling him in your arm and gently rocking him to sleep. The sound of rain pattering outside and the occasional thunderclap created a cozy atmosphere, making you feel grateful to be indoors. As Jeon's eyelid fluttered closed, you softly hummed a lullaby, watching him drift into a peaceful slumber. Just as you were about to drift off to sleep yourself, you heard a commotion coming from downstairs. You carefully got out of bed, making sure not to disturb Jeon, and made your way to the living room. As you entered the room, you saw a group of guards huddled together, their faces grim and worried. Your heart skipped a beat as you wondered what was happening. Suddenly, Jungkook burst through the door, dragging an unconscious Yoongi behind him. Your eyes widened in shock as you saw Yoongi's white shirt stained with blood, his body limp and lifeless. "Yoongi?"